Welcome to Echoes of Reality, the place where untold stories come alive, where ordinary events suddenly take an extraordinary turn, and where truth leaves behind unforgettable lessons. Today, we share with you a powerful story that shook a classroom, humbled a teacher, and reminded everyone about dignity and respect. This is the story of a teacher who cut Chuck Norris's daughter's hair, but when her father arrived, everything changed forever. It all began on a bright morning inside a suburban high school. Students filled the classroom with chatter and laughter, waiting for the day's lesson to begin. Among them sat a girl, quiet, graceful, and polite. She wore her hair long, silky, and beautiful, a feature she cherished not just for its looks, but because it had been part of her identity for years. That girl was the daughter of none other than Chuck Norris, the legendary martial artist and actor known across the world for his strength and unshakable presence. Yet in that classroom, she was just another student. Or at least, that's how she wanted to be treated. The bell rang, and the teacher walked in. A stern figure, known for strictness and discipline. His eyes immediately scanned the students and landed on her. Something about her appearance seemed to bother him. He frowned, walked closer, and without warning said, "Your hair is a distraction. It doesn't belong here in my classroom." The students froze. No one dared to speak. The girl shifted uncomfortably in her seat, replying softly, "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean for it to be distracting." But the teacher wasn't done. With a pair of scissors he had been using for classroom materials, he did something unthinkable. He reached down and snipped a lock of her hair. The sound of the blades cutting through her strands echoed in the silent room. Gasps filled the air. A few students covered their mouths in shock. Others stared, horrified. The girl's eyes welled with tears. Her face flushed red with humiliation. Her long, cherished hair, cut, without her permission, in front of everyone. She sat frozen, unable to move, her dignity shattered. The teacher straightened up, satisfied, and said coldly, "Now you'll understand discipline." For a moment, the room remained silent, heavy with disbelief. Then whispers began. Did he just cut her hair? Oh my God, that's Chuck Norris's daughter. Students exchanged panicked glances. They knew exactly what this meant, even if the teacher did not. She sat still, silent tears running down her cheeks. She didn't want to cause trouble. But the pain inside was unbearable. Finally, she reached for her phone and, with trembling hands, typed a message. Minutes later, the atmosphere of the entire school changed. The front doors opened, and in walked a man whose very presence commanded respect without him saying a word. Broad-shouldered, calm, and radiating quiet power, Chuck Norris had arrived. The hallway fell silent as whispers spread like wildfire. It's him. It's Chuck Norris. Teachers, students, even staff members froze where they stood. He wasn't just a celebrity. He was a father, and his daughter had been humiliated. He walked with steady steps, not rushing, but every stride heavy with purpose. His eyes were calm, but beneath them was an unmistakable fire. When he entered the classroom, time itself seemed to stop. The teacher stiffened, suddenly pale, realizing what he had done. Chuck Norris looked first at his daughter. He knelt slightly, placed a hand on her shoulder, and asked softly, "Are you okay?" She nodded faintly, tears still in her eyes. That single gesture, gentle, protective, loving, spoke volumes. Then he stood and faced the teacher. His gaze was sharp, but his voice was calm, steady, and firm. "I hear you cut my daughter's hair." The teacher stammered, his lips trembling. I didn't realize who she was. I didn't know." Chuck raised a hand, silencing him. "It doesn't matter who she is, that's the point. You disrespected a student. You humiliated her. You crossed a line no teacher should ever cross." The room was so quiet that even the sound of breathing felt loud. Every student hung on his words. Chuck continued, his tone unwavering. Being a teacher is about guiding, about building confidence, about protecting the dignity of those entrusted to you, not tearing them down. Today, you didn't just cut her hair, you cut her spirit, and that, sir, is unacceptable. The teacher's face burned with shame. He tried to form words, but nothing came out. For the first time, he realized the weight of his actions. Chuck's eyes didn't waver. Power isn't in intimidation. It isn't in control. Real power is in respect. Remember that. He turned back to his daughter, gently guiding her out of the classroom. The students erupted into hushed murmurs, their eyes wide, their respect for Chuck growing deeper by the second. The teacher sank into his chair, the scissors still in his hand, now feeling heavier than ever before. Word of the incident spread through the school, and then the town. Teachers whispered, parents talked, students carried the story from one classroom to the next. Not because Chuck Norris had walked into the school, but because of the lesson he had delivered. The teacher later issued an apology, not just to his student, but to the entire class. He realized that teaching was not about control. It was about trust, patience, and respect. He would never again forget the lesson he had learned that day. As for Chuck's daughter, though she had been hurt, she also felt something else. Strength. She saw firsthand the way her father stood up for her, not with fists, not with anger, but with truth. And that gave her courage to face the world with her head held high. In the end, the story wasn't about hair or scissors, or even Chuck Norris. It was about respect, about the way we treat others when we think no one is watching, about the power of standing up, not through violence, but through dignity and words. That classroom would never forget the day the teacher cut Chuck Norris's daughter's hair, and the moment her father arrived to teach a lesson far greater than any textbook could hold. Thank you for watching Echoes of Reality. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because here, every story carries an echo, and every echo carries a truth.